Hey, this is Millie and Sebastian again with part 2 of my graphs and tables video. So follow along with the geometrics, and since this is part 2, we will be starting off with number 6. So let's go there. And for number 6, it's going to have us do a pretty interesting function, which is just change the chart type. And it's not a difficult thing to do, but it's such a useful thing because sometimes you get to the end of making this beautiful chart, you spend a lot of time working on it, and then you realize, yuck, this isn't the best way to represent my data at all. Well, luckily you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If that happens, you just click on the chart, and you are going to go to design because this is the most general thing about the chart. What type is it? So that's going to be in this first category here, which is where the most general things are. And you just go to change chart type, and notice, I'm going to make this a little bigger. The chart types are actually arranged very conveniently. So you have main categories, which can be gotten to by clicking on this menu on the side. And we want a bar chart. So you go to bar, and you just have to hover until you find the one you want, which in this case is the first one. So this is a lot more useful than you scrolling and you got to find, if you wanted bubble and you got to look, just look for it right here. It's very user friendly. Okay, so there's the clustered. Click OK. Beautiful. That was very painless. Let's move on to number 7. Okay, on slide 5, change the table style. So we're not doing the chart, we're doing the table. In the table, let's see, the top table to themed style. Okay, so this has to do with the whole table. It's a themed style. So style is not a specific thing. Style applies to the whole table. So that's why it's going to be in the design tab, which is for more the general, the more aesthetic, how things look aspect of the table. And the organization here is super easy. If you move left to right, you get accent 1, accent 2, accent 3. Okay, you get the idea, they increase. So accent 6 is in this column here, and then the themed styles go up and down. So 1, 2, okay, and then there's light style and there's medium style. Okay, you get the point. So we're looking for the one that's 2 and accent 6, and you just click on that. That's it for number 7. Super duper easy. On to number 8. And with number 8, we'll explore some of these other functions that are available for tables because they're actually very powerful. And we'll look at actually more of the graph functions right here. So go to slide 4, and we want to format the chart grid lines on the primary horizontal axis. Okay, so this is one of those specific things. We're trying to change the grid lines. We're not trying to change the whole shebang, just the grid lines. So you go to layout, and you have grid lines, and you want to turn on the major and minor. Make sure you pick the horizontal. And that just means we're turning on the ones that go side to side like this. So let's do that. Beautiful. There they are. Now, there's so much more that you can do with these grid lines. And to do that, this is like everything else we've seen in Word and Excel and PowerPoint, where if you want to get more specific with something, you click on the main option to change it. You see a bunch of presets, and you go below. And that's where you're allowed to get super duper picky. In this case, for instance, grid lines, we can change just the major grid lines. We can say, well, I want those to be, see, I've changed them already to red. I could say, actually, I want them to be this, pink gradient. Let's see if we can tell with that. Can you tell that that's a pink, or let's do a different gradient just to show the capabilities that we have here, like a blue. Okay, there's the blue gradient. So really powerful what you can do. You know, how specific you can get this, or you can just go with automatic, or you can turn them off. So that's kind of an interesting look. Okay, there we go. Other things that you can get really picky on, you can, for example, your axis. You see how, you know, oh, it starts at 0, it ends at 35,000. Let's blow this up a little, see if we can. Okay, all of this can be changed. So remember, you can click on it. If it's too tiny for you to click, just go to the selector tool and you say, hey, I'm looking to change my vertical axis, and you can do that. And then once you have it selected here, you know, you can right click and format. Oop, that's the wrong one. I clicked on something else. And then you can say, you know, right click. It keeps doing that. Look, that's why it's easier to just go here and say, hey, let me format the selection. And anything that has to do with numbers, you can get really picky on. So you can say, well, I don't want it to start at 0. I want it to start, I want the minimum to be, I don't know, that wouldn't be a good thing to change. Maybe you want it to start at a negative number for some reason, at negative 5,000. You can do that, watch. You see how I added some negative space down here? Okay, you could do, maybe you want some more space at the top. Maybe you want it to go up to 40,000 to leave a little space at the top. So you can do that. You can say, well, now these are too closely packed together and I want to change their interval. And that's the major unit. Right now, every $5,000 is where it shows. But, you know, you can change it from automatic. You can say, nope, I want to pick. I want it to be 10,000. And there we go. Our, our screen then gets a little less crowded. You can... So all sorts of things that you can get really picky on. You can add little tick marks. You see how the tick marks, that white mark right there that's outside, you can turn it off. See how it went away? It's gone. It was next to this number. You could do minor tick marks. You know, you can put the values in reverse order. Ooh, it's all upside down. Okay, so lots of really cool options here. Line color. Let's see. Number. Okay, you could do negative. Like you can change how they look. You can say, hey, I don't want them to show up with decimals. I don't want them to show up. Anything you can imagine, it's all in here. It's insanely powerful, insanely specific. Let's see if there's anything else that, you know, would be useful. You can add a trend line. Okay, so a linear trend line. You just have to pick, do I want it to be based off of the red or the gray? You pick the right one. Okay, watch this. It's showing a trend that, you know, your money decreased over that. You can add error bars, and that's showing a margin of error for these numbers. And of course, you can format those to, you know, to have different shapes and different colors. There's like no limit to what these can do. Axis titles you can display. Okay, there's an axis title. You could then go in and you say, hey, I can't see it, so, you know, let me, well, first of all, you could, you know, put it on a background. Let's put it on a white background. There it is. And then you might want to change your text color. Once you've done that, and you just, you know, would come here and say, hey, I want it to be not white. I want it to be red, or and then I want it to be size 20, and it's a little bigger. Okay, so I could keep going on forever, but you get the idea, I hope. Just always be sure you're selecting the right thing, and if you don't know what you're selecting, go and check right here in one of these tabs. You go over here and you say, oh, was I actually meaning to select the minor grid lines? You see how you can tell right here? Or did I actually want the major grid lines, which are the red ones? Just be careful, but but feel free to get creative. Okay, and with that said, let's jump on to number 10 because number 9 is something we already covered. So number 10, go. All right, number 10. Slide 2. Okay, we have chart layout. Okay, so this isn't changing the category where we change it to a pie chart or something of that nature. No, this is where, this is general layouts, but you don't go to layout because in layout you're actually tinkering with each individual component of this. What we're looking to do is instead the basic layout. So you just go to design, layouts is right here in the middle. It's a bit confusing, just, that can't be helped. But luckily they're just in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can count, you can find number 4. Boom. That is it. Let's take a look at some of these other layouts because some of them have some cool options here. So some of them, this one has grid lines. Maybe that's something you like. But once you pick one, remember, you don't have to commit to it. You can start off with one. Okay, this one's really interesting because it has what's called a data table. But, you can not really commit to this thing. You can say, well, I want to start from there, and then I just want to go wild with it. I want to, I want to add vertical grid lines. I want to add, maybe for the plot area. Let's do this for the plot area. Let's go and add a fill to it. And let me show you the difference between chart area and plot area. So chart area, let me show you that first. We can format. And if we add a fill to that, you could do a picture or a texture or a pattern, and you can already see, like if I do stripes, okay, it does the whole chart area. That's everything in this box. Let me undo. And this time plot area. So just to really drive home, that's only where the visual part of the data is, where the bars are or the slices of the pie. And this time I just want to show you, you can put pictures, you can put textures. So if you want there to be fossilized dead fish in the background, go for it. If you want Beyonce to be in the background, you can do that. You can go to Picture, Insert from File, and you can say, let's put Beyonce. Okay, and there she is. You can make her into little tiles, and then you could change the scale of it. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. You can make her transparent, so you see the ghost of Beyonce, but not all of, not the full thing. It's too much to handle. Okay, so I think you get the point. Lots of options available to us that you can play with, that you can pick. And with that, we are going to end. Best of luck with your PowerPoint certification. Check out the rest of the videos if you need some reviewing or need some help with any specific questions. And once again, thanks for watching.